What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome in to another episode of the Triple Play Fantasy Football Show. We are a proud member of Empire Media and the Empire Media Podcast Network. D. Mendy here, joined by someone who podcasts in his bathroom, in a basement, in a storage closet, heck, maybe even inside your house. It's the Doc, Eric Mendelson. What's going on?
That's true, man. You know, I'm just waiting until like another month when I have a consistent podcast area.
You're just all over the place. You're in the bottom basement room that was Jason's old room or whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just a Jason poster in the back. I'm like that paper bag in the wind from American Beauty. You just never know where I'll end up.
There we go. There we go.
We got to get you on a new movie minutes, man.
There we go. I'm ready.
Wait, wasn't it a plastic bag?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Bag.
Oh, wow.
Look, he already is messing it up. Our guest, who's a very smart guy, we'll introduce also in a second. I have to also, of course, introduce the Bradstradamus, Brad Kilgore, a.k.a. the man that's known to be one with the Force. What's going on?
Never once said that about myself, but I'm feeling good, man. We got the NBA Finals tonight. I'm doing my Scott Fishbowl drafts, you know. What more could you ask for?
I don't know, but I've been watching a lot of Star Wars recently, so I just was like, you know what? I feel like Brad would be a Jedi if he actually trained to be, so I feel like it fit.
I believe that in my mind.
But as you can tell, no Johnny Foosball, so we leveled up and brought somebody in even better. So joining the podcast tonight, we welcome in a man that only knows one way to live, and that's all in. A senior writer for The Athletic, a ranking sage, and the Sheldon and Rick of fantasy sports. This award-winning analyst stays a busy bee as he plays parts in Bets TV, Flex Leagues, and if you try to boo this man, it means nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you a man of poker, a man of fantasy, a man after my heart, after his love of cereal, candy, and old-school video games. It's the man, the myth, the legend known as Jake Ciely. What's going on, man?
I appreciate the intro, although you should have replaced man with boy. I think it's just because I mean, if you're looking behind me, I was looking when you said Star Wars because I was like counting up the Star Wars things that are like the Darth Vader helmet that actually like breathes, and I got crap. There's a Chewie. I mean, I got too much. That's why you should have said boy. That should have been boy. Perfect intro. Just put boy every time you said man.
Dude, your scenery and your background I have a blank wall behind me. You have like everything that is anything behind you. Like
I feel like Brad's outside my high school. Like where are you sitting?
Yeah. I'm in my apartment.
I'm outside on my porch, man. I'm on my apartment porch. I got chimes. I got a window.
That's the birds chirping out there. Yeah. So Jake, pumped to have you on. We were talking a little bit before the show, and I saw, again, reading some of the stuff that you're really interested in. I got to start off first. You love cereal. I consider myself a cereal monster and connoisseur. I got to ask you, what are your top 3 favorite cereals?
Did you not check the link? Do I have to check the link right as we start this show and not read the article?
Yeah, correct, my brother. Call him ugly next.
I ranked over 60 cereals, dude. Come on.
Did you really? Where's this article?
Yeah. I mean, look, I can drop it in the comments, can't I?
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm going to pull it up as we're doing. So the top 3, unfortunately, one of them doesn't exist anymore. So Cinnamon Toast Crunch was inside the top 5. The biggest problem with Cinnamon Toast Crunch, as you know, it gets soggy pretty fast. They came out with Cinnamon Toast Crunch churros, and it takes care of that problem. So these are
there
3
fish
types
tails in the churros.
Are there what in the churros?
Are there fish or shrimp tails? That was
Oh no!
They said that.
What are you talking about?
I know what he's talking about. There was the churros where the guy had the shrimp tails in it inside the box instead. He like poured it out. I don't ever believe that stuff. That's always like, oh, look at what I found in my box. Yeah, like sure. I want to see you open it and find that in there. All right, so I'm pulling up the article. But anyway, number 2 is one that a lot of people don't even really know about or eat, but it's the Honey Graham O's. It's those giant size looking Cheerios with like all that granola goodness in the middle.
I like
those. Yes, so those are super delicious. And then the ones that you can't find anymore because they don't make them anymore. I've been trying a campaign from the comeback. It's Captain Crunch sprinkled donut. They're like it's a brief time. It was like the best Captain Crunch. Although I just recently it just came out, the Captain Crunch with the chocolate berries.
Yeah,
actually pretty good. It's better than I thought it would be. But yeah, here I'm gonna drop the link in here for you so you can check the link.
We're gonna get you a General Mills
cereals
sponsorship, man.
well, no. So I
right?
might have to invite him because our next fantasy foodies, we're doing an entire box of cereal while we stream in one sitting.
There you
So
go.
that'd be perfect for him. But
You know what's sneaky for that? Have you had the Crave cereal?
it's
Yeah.
good. The Crave is good.
What I'm saying, but that it'd be good for the stream because you don't need milk. Those are almost better just to eat out of the box.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's true. That's true.
I'm a dry cereal eater myself.
Okay, but
You're a serial killer.
have you kept up with like there's a cinnamon toast crunch, there's sugar cookie toast crunch.
That was so disappointing.
What? You didn't like that?
Yeah. No, it's just basically sugar cereal. There's no extra flavor. You lose the cinnamon flavor, which is most of the goodness of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Wait, have you seen the cookies and cream Krispies? These are new.
No, I have not. I'm gonna have to look for those. I always appreciate when people let me know to look out for stuff. I had the Dunkaroos, which were meh. They were kind of okay. They're basically sugar cookie versions of Cookie Crisp, if you remember Cookie Crisp.
Yeah.
And then the Cinnamon Toast Crunch Deluxe.
The best cereal ever.
No, it's better than the original, but it's not as good as the churros.
Oh, I had the Dulce de Leche, and that was the best cereal I've ever eaten. You think the churros is better?
Yeah,
What about
churros
the churros?
Chocolate? No, so the chocolate. I don't think it was chocolate. Was it chocolate churros?
There's regular.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
Chocolate.
No, that was too much. Their version of chocolate it didn't work. It didn't work. I didn't like that at all. That's actually even behind the sugar one, the sugar cookie one.
Oh,
have you had the Space Jam one?
No, did they re-release a Space Jam one?
They did.
Yeah, it's one with LeBron on them, and I was about to buy it, and I actually found a guy on Instagram that does cereal reviews, and he's like, it's like Kix. He's like, you think it'd be blueberry because of the flavoring, but he's like, no, it's just Kix. And I've never heard anyone say I'm going out to buy a box of Kix today.
Where are you at with the Fruit Loops and the Pops of the world?
So Fruit Loops is somewhere in the middle of I just passed them. 39. They're tied with Oreo O's for 38 and 39th. Fruit Loops is because the biggest problem is, as you probably know, they're all the same flavor.
That's right.
Yeah.
At least with Trix, it's different flavors. Fruit Loops are all the same flavor.
Now I'm wondering, should we trust what you're telling us? The first thing I read in this article is milk goes first.
That's because that's the only correct way to do it. Everybody else is wrong.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
Read why.
It splashes everywhere.
No. What are you, 3? It doesn't splash everywhere. Who's pouring their cereal from up here? Cascading waterfall. No, you put the milk in first because then you control the ratio of the cereal so it never gets soggy, even when you're dealing with Fruity Pebbles, which basically dissolves as soon as it hits the milk. You can pour a little bit, eat it, pour a little bit more, eat it, and then you control it so it doesn't sink to the bottom.
I'm looking at
I always thought Fruity Pebbles would be the easiest to do for the challenge because they get soggy so quick and they just clump together.
Yeah, that's why you do milk first. It's for all those stupid cereals like that.
You really did a nice job putting this together.
There's no standard deviation, so I'm not as impressed.
The last one I have to ask you before we move on. Do you like the Halloween cereals, like the Frankenberry, Count Chocula, Boo Berry? Those are
all there. Yeah, so Boo Berry and Frankenberry are with Fruity Pebbles, and regular Captain Crunch at 9 through 12. Count Chocula is at 8 by itself.
Oh,
and then I was looking for it. I know they re-released them last year, but they didn't have them around me. I still haven't tried. Is Yummy Mummies the orange sickle type one, right?
That's an excellent name.
don't think I've ever had the Yummy Mummies. I've never seen those.
See, and that's that's Fruit Brute. Yummy Mummy. So Fruity Yummy Mummy is the fruity one, and then Fruit Brute was the one that's those are ones those are really hard to find. I don't even know if they re-released those. I think they only released the regular 3.
Wait, did you ever have the cinnamon marshmallow Scooby-Doo cereal back in the day?
No, I missed that one. I had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cereal, which tasted like hot garbage. Please don't ever have that one.
When was that? I've never even seen that.
I'm a 90s kid. That's 90s. That's
same with us. We're 90s kids.
Well, I'm early 90s. Are you late 90s?
Okay. I was born 91.
Oh no, I'm a '90s kid. Like I was already a kid in the '90s.
We talked about who did we talk about this with?
This was Adam with Adam
We're
Azer. He
90s
said the same thing.
babies,
He's like,
but
you're
2000s
born and you're not a kid
kids.
then.
Yeah, you're not kids if you're born in the '90s.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna definitely take a look.
I already know. You know Super Friends, right?
Yeah, of course. Wait, which the show or the group?
It's the ones of this music. Hold on, where is it? I play this for a lot of our guests because they think I'm weird because I'm. Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah.
Is this going to be another Adam Rank podcast where we don't talk about football at all?
No, because I don't make the weirdest analogies in the world. like Jordan Howard's like walking your dog down the street and you have to bend over and pick up some poop. And I love Adam Rank, but like he just comes out with the most random analogies in the world.
Oh, he's hilarious.
No, I thought you meant. I didn't know if you meant the hip hop group that was around in the '90s. That's when we said that's Super Friends with a Z at the end. By the way.
Wait, there's a hip hop group named
dropping
Super Friends?
some knowledge on me right now.
Yeah, good group, by the way.
Oh well, I have a lot of homework to look up after this episode.
You do.
I kind of want to talk about poker, but I feel like if we do that, we will never talk about football.
Well, I did want to say the last thing before we dive into football. I did listen to the Nick Pollock and Friends podcast because we obviously talk fantasy baseball and basketball. We're a 3-sport pod, and I heard that you're all in kid because of poker and that you're kind of doing that all in brand. Can you just like speak about that? Because I heard it, but I don't know how much the audience knows it. And I think it's kind of a cool story.
Yeah. So that's where all in kid came from is when I first started playing poker. I think a lot of people do this. I mean, I don't know, maybe I was the weird one, but when you first start playing Hold'em, no limit, like when you're inexperienced, whether or not you're bluffing or you have a big hand, it's just like you go all in because you don't know any better. You just like all in. And I was doing it at a bunch during this one tournament. And the friends I had at the time had nicknames for everybody. And I didn't have a nickname yet. So the guy's nickname, who was Don Ho-Hos, because he looked like a Don and he was overweight. So it was Don Ho-Hos. We're sitting there and it was probably like the 15th time I went all in. And he just went, damn, all in, kid. And then it just stuck from there. So kind of came over into the fantasy world because when I started my own blog on Blogspot, by the way, which you can probably still find, my biggest thing was like, instead of being like, oh, these are your start sits, I was like, here's your pocket aces, here's your river call of the week, that's how I kind of differentiated myself when I first got in. It was kind of like give everything a poker theme because it's different.
Here's your 2-7 offsuit. You never play this guy.
That's a good one. Was that one you used in
I didn't use that. No, I have buddies. We did this for the first time since COVID started. We're going to do the UFC fight in poker, which is what we used to do a lot. And a lot of times they'll be like, let's do a $1 bet if you do 2-7 and you go in.
Yeah. That's the only way to do it.
Classic. It's the classic.
No, because it wins 1 out of 100 times. I'm not doing it. I'm not even wasting $1.
Oh man, I love it. Again, I'm sure we could talk about I wanted to talk about old school video games, but we'll have to save that for another time. So like we could go in like an old Tony Hawk conversation or anything like that. But we do have
the re-release one, the Tony Hawk 2.
Get to talk about the like the original. We talk about what was it? The Underground was the GameCube one. I'm thinking 2 was
Tony Hawk 1 and 2. They re-released on Xbox and PlayStation and stuff like that. I downloaded it immediately when it came out.
Did it hold up? Was it just like you remembered?
Oh yeah, it's just with updated graphics. It has all the old music. They added some to it, but it's basically the same thing all over again.
Oh man, which skater do you use?
Which skater? So this one you have to like create one this time because I think they lost a lot of license for their. If I'm remembering correctly, I used to use Jeff
Rowley.
No, Suttenberg. What was his last name?
Oh, there was Glifberg.
Rune Glifberg.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. Yeah, Rune.
That was my guy. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Chad Muska was the man. You got to use Chad
Muska. Who did DGK?
DGK?
Yeah, who did DGK? Like the clothing line. He was a skater. I used to always use him.
Oh, now you're outside of my world. Don't start.
Yeah.
All right, never mind.
That's the perfect transition point. We've got the AFC South preview tonight. Our division previews are here, and they're spectacular. Seinfeld reference. We're going to go over all 8 divisions. Obviously, we're on our 6th one tonight, the AFC South. We're going to look at rising and falling stars, rookie impacts, players to keep a sharp eye on at the end of your drafts, and much more. So make sure you stay tuned for that. After we'll go to our question of the week, Which NFL player would be the best detective? And as always, we have our game of the week revealed at the end of the show. Normally, I would have news and notes plugged in here, and then our plug. I am going to give the plug now since Jake has brought in such nice, lively fans here with the cereal talk, and we've got some pro skater talk. So if you enjoy all that type of conversation, please make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you find your podcast. And if you want to hear more triple play, of course, we've got the fantasy baseball and basketball podcasts. Anywhere you get your podcasts, we've got the website, trippleplayfantasy.com. Appreciate all the 5-star ratings and reviews. Brad, you guys on the YouTube channel just dropped a movie minutes. What was that about today? It was an animated one, right?
Yeah, man. We did Mitchell's vs. the Machines for this one. It was a great one. We gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay, I like that. So tons of great stuff like that on the YouTube channel. But remember, if you're looking for a podcast that will leave you more prepared than a kid at a college party with Plan B in their pocket, look no further than this podcast right
This is
here.
out of control. We got to delete that.
We might just change your life. You didn't like that? I thought that was pretty funny.
It's a family show.
That's true.
Yeah, I've never met a kid that brings Plan B.
All right, well, if you guys are ready to get another episode finally started, then man, we're here to do it for you. Let's do it! Yeah! All right. Football music, football action to get our football talk started here. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Jake Ciely. We got to talk about quarterbacks in this division first. And we got to start off with Mr. Ryan Tannehill. He was QB7 in points per game. He was QB7 last year, QB10 in points per game at 21.9 points per game. So the interesting stuff on Ryan Tannehill, he became the Titans starter in week 7 of 2019. And since that time, he's totaled 575.3 fantasy points, which ranks third among quarterbacks behind only Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. This despite
Patrick Mahomes?
He was 16th in pass attempts over that time, and he's finished with more fantasy points over that time than Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Deshaun Watson. This is another cool thing about Ryan Tannehill and why you should put some respect on his name. Since joining the Titans, he also leads the NFL in passer rating, led the NFL in yards per pass attempt, led the NFL in fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives, and he's top 3 in touchdown percentage per pass and top 3 in completion percentage. Jake, where should we value Ryan Tannehill right now? Because right now he's going as QB 11 consensus. Is that too late to take Ryan Tannehill?
I think it's just about right, honestly. This is to pull Adam Rankin here with this. This is like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This is just right. Yeah. What it really comes down to is, so I had Tannehill below that before the Julio Jones trade, because mostly it's not even, you talk about it, it's the efficiency of Ryan Tannehill. It's a lot to ask year after year after year to be that efficient for the touchdown side of things. Like, we know the touchdowns are kind of anomalous compared to most teams because they are so efficient, and you don't want to take that away from them. But the biggest thing I did take away from it is the 7 rushing touchdowns were a lot. Like, I don't think that you expect Tannehill to do that most years. So even if you drop him down to 4, I mean, the simple math right there, you're already like dropping down 3 or 4 spots at quarterback because they're more valuable than the passing touchdowns. So I had him about, I want to say before the Julio Jones trade, he was about QB 14 or 15, if I remember correctly. And then I'm still finishing up my projections for our draft kit launches next week. And I think when I first looked, he was right around QB 11 or 12. So that's right around where he should be. He's in that conversation of like the Tom Brady's, where he runs a little bit more than him, but he doesn't run as much as like the other guys, like a Hurts that's in that range. So it's kind of pick your poison there. Like I said, the biggest downside is, my biggest concern is if he does throw a little bit more and it is just Derrick Henry and he doesn't call his own number. What if he drops down to like 2 rushing touchdowns? I don't want to expect that, but now you're talking about a 30-point drop and he needs to make it up in the passing game.
Does any part of you think that with Derrick Henry, and we'll get to him in a little bit, with him upping his carries each year, and with the fact that now they have an increased they have a better passing game overall. Maybe you want to take some wear and tear off the tires with 17 games, that there's a chance he might increase the passing volume this year?
Slightly, but not much that I'm concerned about it. This is also Derrick Henry's only done it for 2 years, and it wasn't 370 carries 2 years in a row. It was one. It was 300 years or 300 the year before, and then the 2 years that he started in the league were not that much. Like for all you said, we're going to talk about in a second. I'm just pulling this conversation because you just touched a nerve. I'm so tired of the. Aren't you scared of Derrick Henry? No, I'm not. Not one lick, because it's 2 years. It's not 4 years of running 350 times. He doesn't have bone on bone like Todd Gurley. And you know what? The dude is 6'4", 260. He is a freak of nature. If he gets hurt, it's going to be a freak injury. It's not going to, because Derrick Henry wore down. So maybe they give him 350 carries with the extra game. So that's still a decrease. But I am not concerned about Derrick Henry at all. He's in the top 4 for me.
Have you ever seen his game logs for like his high school? He was getting like 400 carries a year. He's been a tank for a long time.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Jadeveon Clowney's running games? Like when he was actually at running back in high school, he was like running over like children.
And he broke down, man. It's a lot of carries. I don't care what level. He's eventually the body's gonna catch up to him, man. He's a beast, and he's managed to stay healthy this entire time. But I don't know.
If
There's
you guys
a little
want to
something.
schedule a podcast for 2023 and redo this, then I'll be a little bit more
right.
I mean, it's interesting. His yards has gone up by at least 250 yards every season he's been in the league. And I mean, he also has a new offensive coordinator too. So I'm kind of curious with that scheme. Will it change at all for him too? Like, is the offensive coordinator going to fit what he likes to do?
It's like they're not going to. Here's the thing: is offensive coordinators, teams, coaches, they all have tendencies. A perfect example of where tendencies break to your talent is we talked about Andy Reid last year, and like, oh, he always wants to go with his guy. Well, like things didn't make sense. It didn't break for him last year because he's trying to make things work. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't get off to a great start, better than he finished this season. And now Barkley, as you can hear, is playing with a toy because she knows I'm on a podcast. Things change with the system of who you have. Like for the longest time, is Doug Peterson loves a committee. And then 2 years ago when Miles Sanders had his really good season, it was like it went out the window. It's mostly Miles Sanders. So it will change. I'll tell you right now, in my projections, I have Derrick Henry for 330 over 17 games. So that's a 40 carry discount. But at the same time, he's still RB4.
Realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No love for the fantasy football heartthrob Darrington Evans, who started listening to people's content.
That's another one. Can we stop with this? The only thing that's been tried more than to make Chris Herndon a thing has been trying to make the compliment to Derrick Henry a thing. Can we like how many years are we talking about he could be the Jerry McNichols? Who else do we want to throw back there? Like, no, they brought in Brian Hill. Like every year we're trying to make somebody a compliment to Derrick Henry. It doesn't matter.
Alexander Madison to Dalvin Cook is a close second.
Yeah.
What if Bishop Sankey came back? I think he'd be a good handcuff.
People should remember that was a big mistake. I'm thinking he was going to be great.
Let's stay with the Titans. Let's finish out the Titans then. Let's talk about A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and Anthony Firkser, who A.J. Brown, wide receiver 12, 17.7 points per game. Julio Jones was wide receiver 52 at 16.2 points per game. Obviously, the injuries played a big part into that. But I'm curious. I had A.J. Brown as the wide receiver 1 in redraft before Julio got there. Obviously, I've bumped him down now. I think I have him around like wide receiver 6, wide receiver 7. Julio Jones obviously still has a lot there. They're going to be in a run-first offense, but where do you see both these wide receivers finishing? Is there any value for Anthony Firkser anymore, Jake?
Nope. Just like there was never value for Jonnu Smith. I had this argument at length with Brandon Fonston, who was on our podcast last year. I said, I have zero interest in Jonnu Smith. He's like, oh, but Jonnu Smith. I was like, okay, you tell me the 6 good games Jonnu's going to have, because that's what it is. I don't care who the number 3 is. I don't. The number 3 is irrelevant in this offense, and it's Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. I had A.J. Brown 4th before this. I think he dropped to 8 or 9. Julio Jones basically stayed about the same, somewhere 16, 17, 18 for me. More efficient, lower volume, so it'll offset. That's why Julio Jones didn't really change for me. Firkser was the big drop, and then the biggest drop, it was a real like shot to my heart because I had him in so many leagues already, was Josh Reynolds, because Josh Reynolds was going to be the number 2, and now he's completely out the window. So again, because he's the 3rd wide receiver, not even the 3rd option, who should be Firkser at this point. But no, I have no interest at Firkser at this point anymore.
Yeah, again, two probably relevant pass catchers, like you saw Corey Davis and AJ Brown last year, and then you got obviously Derrick Henry, who I don't know if he'll see an increase in targets. I still feel like that you can't really count on him for that. Even
this
though
is who's being annoying. Sorry.
Yeah,
you're good. Say hi. Say hi,
Mark. Dog friendly podcast. what breed?
Superstar.
What breed is he? She?
She is a pit mix. I don't know what she's mixed with because the mom was a rescue off the street, pregnant. So she's mixed with some. Come here, Barkley. You can see the ears. Come here. You can see how the ears aren't like full pit. Like they stay.
Oh, he's adorable.
Yeah. Is she named after Saquon?
Yep. Not Charles. Saquon.
What about Matt? Are we just going to disrespect him?
she does like smelling butts at least.
There you go.
That's hilarious. Let's go to the Houston Texans. I want to go talk about a good team to a garbage team. Obviously, I think they're the heavy betting favorites for the number 1 pick. You have, who knows a quarterback? Is it Deshaun Watson? Is it Tyrod Taylor? No. Is it Davis Mills? Brad, you had Tyrod Taylor as your darling. You had him as I believe, wasn't he? Did you have him at number 10 in quarterbacks last year?
Last year I was a little bit hot takey. I had him at QB 10. Obviously that didn't pan out. You know, I can't foresee a scenario in which Deshaun Watson plays this year. I'll be absolutely shocked. So I didn't even put him in my rankings. I have Tyrod Taylor, or Tyrod as I should call him. I have him at a QB 25 this year. Right. I have him at a QB 25 this year. And that's pretty much projecting almost like entirely garbage time touchdowns. And essentially, you know, he's going to be like 3,400 yards this year. I'm expecting like the same game manager he's always been. But to me, he just has no weapons. And with that, it's hard for me to put him above really anybody. So he was my darling last year. It didn't work out for him. He's had a lot of bad luck. I kind of liken him to a Ryan Fitzpatrick where, you know, he's kind of always been the bridge quarterback. You know, he was the bridge for Baker Mayfield. He was the bridge for Justin Herbert. And now he's going to be the bridge for whoever it is next year. So he's in a tough spot.
He was the bridge for Josh Allen, and he took the Bills to the playoffs.
That's true.
That's right.
Look at all these quarterbacks that have been good after him. So maybe we should bump Davis Mills up our rankings some. With Jake's like, no, you don't believe in either of them.
Definitely not.
No.
Where do you have Jake?
To make it?
Jake, where do you have Tyrod?
He's down in the 20s, mostly because he would move up from there. But I have I don't know how to play it, so I put 10-game suspension for Deshaun Watson, like thinking something gets resolved, or maybe because he's going to have to be put on the exempt list because he doesn't get arraigned or not arraigned. I forget what the word is. Deposed until February. So it's not going to be resolved in season. So the NFL is going to have to make their decision. I could see it be like what you said. I could see him not playing at all this year. And the NFL is just like, we're not playing until we figure this out. But so for now, I just have him at 7 games. I have 10 being suspended, and then Tyrod for the rest with actually Davis Mills is getting like 3% of the snaps. But that has Tyrod just almost irrelevant. If he did play even 15 of the 17 games, I think he'd be around QB probably 20, 21, somewhere around there. He still has a little bit of rushing upside.
So I feel like most people aren't going to be drafting these guys. Let's talk about who the heck we're trying to draft out of this next group. We got David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, Rex Burkhead. I think Dontrell Hillard is their 5th string running back.
Or do they still have Alfred Blue? Can we make Alfred Blue?
Buddy Howell.
Oh my God. They kept trying to make him happen. David Johnson was RB21, around 15 points per game. Rex Burkhead was RB44. Philip Lindsay was RB66. Mark Ingram was RB77. Obviously, a lot of those guys missed some time. Johnson did look better than expected in 2020. He had over 1,000 total yards and 8 touchdowns in 12 games. But Philip Lindsay, since the start of the 2018 season, ranks 10th in rushing yards amongst running backs. He's also averaging 4.78 yards per carry during that time. Rex Burkhead always just goes in there and ends up messing up whatever you want to happen in that backfield. I'm curious, Brad, and then I'll go back to you, Jake. Do you have anybody, I guess David Johnson potentially, but maybe besides him, is there anybody worth rostering in this backfield?
Worth rostering is an interesting choice of words. It depends how you get him. If I can pick, Philip Lindsay off the waiver wire, sure. If I can pick a David Johnson off the waiver wire, sure, because it's not like they're dead. They can always provide flashes of who we once know them to be, but to bet on them, to draft them is not something I would do. I have where I have David Johnson. I have him in the here he is. I have David Johnson at 36, RB 36, and then I have Philip Lindsay in the 40s. So it's going to be a timeshare. I don't expect either of them to provide value unless you need them as like a waiver wire pickup.
Okay, fair enough. So you will not be drafting any Texans running backs. Jake, are you staying away from this backfield? Is there somebody you like?
No, so that's why I reached behind me, because I was going to say, if you can Voltron them together, and you just can't do that.
Exactly.
Wow.
Then you got me interested. Now we're talking RB1. Look, if you could get David Johnson in the 6th, 7th round, that's not the worst scenario, but that's what we're talking about here. You're talking a flex option. That's what you want.
Yeah.
And anything more than that. So if David Johnson's going higher than that, then yeah, just wait and get Philip Lindsay later. It's basically what's the most reasonable cost for hoping to get any type of value out of this backfield, which shouldn't be a lot because should be passing a decent amount, and who knows how good that success should be because who knows what the quarterback should be. So yeah, not a lot of interest there.
So
and
would you say
David
Johnson? Would you say like David Johnson's like the Golden Grams of running backs? Like he's kind of in
that's a good one. Oh, Barkley just grabbed Batman.
Future pod where we compare fantasy football players to cereals.
Oh, it's the cereals. I thought you were gonna say Funkos.
We could have done that too.
Got to get Adam Rank on for that too.
Oh my God, we won't get over anything if that happens. But let's go to the wide receivers and let's talk about. There's one obviously that everybody recognizes. Brandon Cooks leading the way. He's there for now. Then you got Nico Collins, Kiki QT, Chris Conley, and Jordan Akins at tight end. Brandon Cooks was wide receiver 17, around 15.5 points a game. Currently going as wide receiver 36. He's right now looks like he's the 1, 2, and 3 option on this team. Is there anybody outside Brandon Cooks that you're intrigued of maybe grabbing at the end of your draft? And are you even tempted to grab Brandon Cooks at all, knowing that he's going to get probably double covered on this team with no other weapons in that offense? What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I literally have him at wide receiver 36. And to your point, he is going to get double covered, right? Like there's no running game to be scared of. They're going to be, positive passing game scripts, which is good, but who's going to be throwing to him? Tyrod isn't exactly known for his deep balls, right? Like he's a game manager. So to me, Brandon Cooks is best utilized when, he's either going deep or, you're catching him on little slants. So if you're in a PPR league, he might be worth it in, 6th, 7th, 8th round. Otherwise, I'm not really. He's not somebody I'm checking for.
Jake, how are we feeling about this group?
I have Cooks a little bit higher just because of the volume. I mean, we could be looking at a situation where he starts creeping into the top 5 for a target share for his team. And if that's the case, it's not going to be the prettiest. I don't disagree with Brad at all. It's supposed to be some ugly passes, but there's a fact of volume here. And Allen Robinson for the longest time has played with crap quarterbacks, and the volume all says it. Now I would take Allen Robinson as a better talent every single week, but Brandon Cook should still, I would say that, worst case scenario, he's walking into 120 targets this year, 120 targets, even, half of them catchable. So a little bit higher. And again, the gap, we know at wide receiver, the gap from wide receiver 25 to 40 is going to be slim as it is every single year. After that, Randall Cobb, I think would be the second most value. But once you get to that point, and I say this is one of the things I've preached my entire career, is once you get to bench spots, is stop with, I could use this guy during your bye. You can use a million guys on the waiver wire during your bye. You don't want bye week guys. You want somebody who could break out and potentially be top 25. So I would just rather wait towards the end of the draft and grab Nico Collins.
Also, there's a verifiable injury risk with Brandon Cooks, right? Like you kind of have to discount that into it too.
Yeah, he's had a lot of concussions, and you got to think if he gets another one, he's going to probably be out for 3-4 games just from the nature of how bad they've been. I think Barkley probably agrees with us too. So
yeah, I'm about to put her on a leave because she's doing this on purpose, I think.
No, let her roam. Let her do her thing.
No, I'm tired of listening to the squeaky toy. You barely hear it. It's like loud in my ear.
That's why my dog, we always just give him hard toys, like because he always destroys the squeaky toys. I don't know if Barkley's like destructive like that, but
Every once in a while, she likes to gut out the stuffing, like murder the toy. So she'll do that sometimes.
Well, let's talk about somebody who has been taking the stuffing out of everybody's fantasy team the last couple of years. That's Carson Wentz, who was QB 22 last year, just under 18 points a game. He's now in Indianapolis, reunited with former offensive coordinator Frank Reich. When they weren't passing, or when they weren't paired together, he's been awful. But last time they've been together, he had an MVP pace and was putting up fantastic numbers. Now, Carson Wentz has one of the best offensive lines, and when he's not facing pressure, he's been one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He right now is going QB 21 consensus. Jake, do you think this is the time that Carson Wentz bounces back to where he's going to be way over QB 21?
No, I wouldn't say way over. Even that one pace for that 1 year, it still was, everybody was like, oh, he's the next great top 5 quarterback. He was still kind of out of that conversation, even best case scenario. So, yeah, he looked great, obviously playing behind the Eagles offensive line. I've made apologies for their receivers on this team. I made apologies for Jalen Reagor last year as being thrown into a rookie situation that he shouldn't have been in. He shouldn't have been the number one, playing outside and playing with that attention. And then again, the offensive line, which was on the third string. So I will make apologies, but at the same time, Carson Wentz hasn't shown a lot, even with the excuses. So I do think he'll be in my bounce backs, but you say much higher. With how many quarterbacks are running these days, and I mean, I'm talking when you say running 500 plus rushing yards, I'd say maybe top 15. So, a 6-spot jump. I don't know if I can get him back at the QB1 territory, even with this team, because it's going to be not run heavy, but it'll be run balanced, especially with like how good Jonathan Taylor is.
So we're in the middle of Scott Fish Bowl drafts right now. People obviously are jumping to take their second quarterbacks. People like Derek Carr are going like 4th, 5th round, Baker Mayfield, these guys that have been very average. Are you comfortable with taking Carson Wentz as your QB2 in that format? No.
I already have my QB2 at that point. Actually, if you want to talk Scott Fish Bowl, I went Hurts Burrow. So I was well out of the conversation. I was done by the time we rolled around to that.
And you know what, David? It's like you jinxed me because somebody took Carson Wentz in the 5th round just now.
Oh, wow. That's early for him. Wow. I mean, I'm looking at him at the QB2, and I wouldn't get him that early.
I thought I could get him in a couple rounds as my QB2.
There you go.
I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to get Baker Mayfield or something because I've gone 4 running backs and a tight end in my first 5 rounds.
Yeah, I think you're one of the only people that hasn't taken a quarterback yet. So yeah. You're going bold. I like it.
But I enjoy your Taysom Hill and Cam Newton stack there.
No. That's not happening to me.
I was going to say, I actually think Wentz is going to bounce back pretty well this year. I know he throws a lot of interceptions. I look at the improved offensive line. I think there's going to be some consistency there. I mean, Philip Rivers threw for 4,100 plus yards and 24 touchdowns last year. I'd like to think at this point in his career, Carson Wentz has a little more upside than that. He had 276 rushing yards in 12 games. Philip Rivers had -8, so I think that offensive line is really going to improve. And I think for Wentz, he really wants to show people that they were wrong about him. I'd love him as my QB2. I think I have him right outside my QB1 in that 13-14 range.
Okay, I like that. So I want to stay with
narrative
you
projection. I like that.
Yeah, I want to stay with you, Doc. Then I want to hear your thoughts on Jonathan Taylor, who was RB6 at 16.9 PPR points per game last year. Marlon Mack went down week 1. I think everybody expected the breakout was going to come right then and there, but it didn't. And instead, he was incredibly frustrating. And it felt like he just wasn't reading holes correctly. He was leaving a lot of yards on the table. But if you stuck with him, he rewarded you down the stretch. During the last 6 games, when he plays soft run defenses that propelled him enough to finish as the RB6, that's pretty much kind of when he started really breaking out. But you have Nyheim Hines, who was actually RB15 in PPR last year. So seems like he's there and he's not going to be going away. Marlon Mack and Jordan Wilkins probably will get a couple carries here and there. So I'm curious, Doc. He's right now going as RB5. Do you have him higher or lower than that?
In redraft, I would probably have him as my RB1 or 2. I'm very big on him this year. In the last 6 games, so he had a 7 carry for 12 yards at Tennessee. The rest of the season, he had 119 for 741 and 7 touchdowns, 6.22 yards per carry, caught 16 balls for 121 yards and 1 touchdown. Is really the passing down back. He had 63 targets, most on the team, behind T.Y. Hilton and Zach Pascal. So
I'm more worried about what he might do to the other pass catchers. But I think in terms of the running back, like obviously he's not going to be a Derrick Henry where he gets 95% of the carries. But I do think he's going to be one of those traditional bell cow running backs that we see.
Jake, RB1 is a bold statement to say. Do you have him in your top 3 in redraft PPR?
No. And I love Jonathan Taylor. You can look back last year when I had him in my tier 1 of running backs coming out of the NFL draft. There was only 3. It was him, Dobbins, and Swift. So I love Jonathan Taylor. I think people overrated the fact of coming from the Big Ten. Oh, he can't pass catch and just assume that about him. My biggest issue is just Nyheim Hines isn't going to go away. I have no concerns about Marlon Mack or anybody else. This is Jonathan Taylor's backfield, but it's also Nyheim Hines in the passing game. And that's my biggest concern is you're just not to say one, you need to get 70 receptions. And that's just not happening for me. So if Barkley is healthy, which is a huge question mark, there's already been rumors whether or not he's going to start off slow and not be ready to roll until week 3 or 4, 100% of his touches. But, you got to get to Dalvin Cook. You got to get past a healthy Barkley. You got to get past Derrick Henry, whose volume is just immense, especially in the touchdown department. The way he gets there, runs for 15 touchdowns. Is that doable? Absolutely. I think he could do that. But I think he's going to have to run for a very high number of touchdowns to get there.
Jake, I haven't heard you say any optimism. You don't like Carson Wentz. You don't like anyone on the Texans, understandably. You don't like Jonathan Taylor.
We haven't talked about the wide receivers.
Wide receivers. Foreshadowing.
Yeah, I figured. Why would you like the wide receivers out of all positions on the Colts?
Well, foreshadow.
Because they're dirt cheap.
T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell. You also have Jack Doyle, Mo Alley Cox competing at tight end. All were after wide receiver 40 in 2020. But T.Y. Hilton finished the season strong over the last 6 games, had 27 catches, 435 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So there's maybe some optimism. He was wide receiver 8 over in that time. Michael Pittman was a huge disappointment, but he's projected to be the alpha. Obviously, Carson Wentz likes throwing at his tight end, so you'd expect Doyle or Cox to be the guy. Jake, this group, who do you like the most of these guys?
I love the price on Pittman and Paris Campbell. People have quickly forgotten how good Paris Campbell is because he's been hurt. Now, of course, is he 100% of what we've ever seen? No, but is he the prototypical what you want from a slot wide receiver in today's NFL? 100%. And if he can provide that here, Pittman and Campbell, and that resurgence we saw from T.Y. Hilton late last year with lesser quarterback play, mind you, they realized T.Y. Hilton's not exactly T.Y. Hilton from 2 years ago, and they started moving him around and using him a little bit differently, which is what helped him show up again at the end of the year. So I think that all things being considered, you could see these 3 wide receivers be kind of a similar Carolina Panthers of next year. Like these Carolina Panthers, all of them finished inside the top 35. So maybe they all finish inside the top 40, 45 to a little lesser degree because there are so many tight ends. And you left out Jordan Thomas, who they brought into. They drafted Kyle Granson. So this is why I don't want any of those tight ends, because it's just going to be like the Houston backfield. There's never going to be any consistency there.
I could see it. It's definitely tough. And I think people are going to be tantalized or want to take the tight end, because again, Carson Wentz and his tight ends in the past, that they'll reach, maybe hoping at the end of their draft that they'll be able to get the tight end. But
I have over 1,000 yards going to the tight end position. I don't have anybody going over 360 for one of the tight ends though.
Oh, so you don't think any of them kind of breaks out at some point?
No.
Okay.
Doyle, Cox in order, Thomas and Granson, but I have Thomas getting 13, 14 catches, Granson getting 17. They'll get mixed in. It's just, that's what they'll do.
Doc,
unless somebody gets hurt. I mean, but I'm not going to bank on that.
Right. Doc, do you feel any differently about the pass catchers? Are you optimistic about someone breaking out, or do you feel like, Jake, that they're all 3 going to eat?
I definitely like Pittman taking a step forward. He had, I think it was like a blood clot in his leg or something, and he only missed a couple games for that. So I think, once again, our expectations for rookies are heightened, I think, because of what we saw Burrow do pre-injury and what Herbert did. We have to realize, they need to get reps with their quarterbacks. Philip Rivers kind of has a noodle arm like we saw last year. Let him get a full offseason with Carson Wentz. I don't think they're all 3 going to eat, because I think they're all 3 going to get hurt at a certain point, especially T.Y. Hilton. I like Mo Alley Cox. He's an athletic tight end, played basketball in college at VCU.
I think you hear that every time they're on TV.
Okay, well, Now we have to say it on podcast. So
there you go.
That's just kind of my dart throw. I always have a dart throw at tight end. Last year was Jonnu Smith. This year it's Mo Alley Cox. So we'll see.
All right, let's finish up with the Jacksonville Jaguars, the upstart, exciting Jacksonville Jaguars with their new quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, who's going QB 14 off the board right now in redraft. Jake, I'm interested in your thoughts. Trevor Lawrence, as he finished as a QB1 this year, they expect him to have some kind of rushing upside with 343 projected rushing yards, according to Fantasy Pros. What do you think?
Yes, because if Justin Herbert could just do it last year, Trevor Lawrence is the better quarterback. I know everybody's like, well, Justin Herbert's proved it, but Trevor Lawrence, when people say generational, we all roll our eyes, and yeah, I hate it as much as everybody else. But sometimes it's true. Very rarely it's true, but sometimes it's true. For the people that said Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback since Andrew Luck, since Peyton Manning, they're not wrong. If Trevor Lawrence bombs in the NFL, something went wrong with the world. Like, this is alternate universe, whatever, 562 in the Marvel with cinematic, whatever you want to do. So, like, this is not right. Trevor Lawrence should be great in the NFL. He is that good of a quarterback. This team is going to pass plenty. I have him going for 630 pass attempts. I'm looking at him right now, which gets him over 4,600 yards, gets him close to 30 touchdowns. He's going to run as well. And Justin Herbert was actually boosted a little bit like Tannehill with the rushing touchdowns, which, again, a little bit volatile when you're not running 500-600 yards. And you talk about weapons. I mean, not only do they already have Chark and Chenault, and you can argue that Colin Johnson was going to potentially take a step forward. He's now buried because they brought in Marvin Jones. They drafted ETN to complement with James Robinson, which I don't get the hate of. Whoa, he's lining that wide receiver. Okay, manufacture touches for the guy. Why is that a bad thing all of a sudden? We want Le'Veon Bell to line up at wide receiver. We want David Johnson to line up at wide receiver. We want Alvin Kamara to wide receiver. Then Travis Etienne's a wide receiver. What the hell is going on? No, it's a good thing. So I'm looking at, I am all over Trevor Lawrence. I actually think I have him at QB 11 or 12. He's right there with Tannehill.
So wait, Jake, you're the GM of the Los Angeles Chargers. Ring, 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 ring. Hi.
I'll put you on speaker.
I would like to offer you Trevor Lawrence for your Justin Herbert. What do you say?
Done. I'll come pick him up now.
So you're not.
How would that ever happen, dude? That's not a realistic trade scenario.
No, I mean, I'd heard it floated around. They said, would you take the proven commodity? And Jay kind of even just highlighted, would you take the proven commodity? You know what he is. Justin Herbert looks like a franchise superstar, but then there's still the mystery of Trevor Lawrence.
I know we're not talking that division.
Proven commodity after 14 games. I love it.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing too, and we're not talking Herbert, but we might as well for this conversation for this point is Herbert's last couple games of the season wasn't the Herbert we saw for the first 10, 11. And NFL defenses started to adjust to him. They started finding where they can put him into, questionable situations, kind of trick him, get him to make some poor throws. Still played pretty good. But I bring that up to say, Justin Herbert, I don't think this is going to happen. But similar to Jared Goff, where the NFL figured out, hey, let's wait to disguise our defense until the headset clicks off and Sean McVay can't tell him what's coming. And all of a sudden, Jared Goff sucks. Now, I don't think Justin Herbert's going to suck. I just think it's now on Justin Herbert to adjust back to the league, because if you take the final 5 or 6 games of Herbert, it's not the full season Herbert everybody remembers.
No, I agree. I actually have him as QB 11 this year. And I wrote up on Twitter. I said, he has a better line. People are saying, he's going to get better in year 2. But then you also have the fact that they're probably going to run the ball more. NFL defenses can adjust a little bit more. And he also downgraded at tight end now with Jared Cook there instead of Hunter Henry. I mean, and he's a defensive minded head coach too. Now it's a very much and probably a better defense that's going to hold teams to lower scoring. So I don't disagree with you there at all.
Whoa.
QB,
you're not
6'7".
You're not even going to mention Donald Parham. What disrespect?
Well, we're not talking about the Chargers.
Yeah,
right
that's
now,
because they got Jared Cook now. They got the most awful tight end of all time.
Yeah, he's hopefully not going to cook too much stuff up there. Let's talk about the running game. You already mentioned it. They're splitting out. Travis Etienne out wide. People are freaking out. And James Robinson is still there. Of course, the ghost of Carlos Hyde is there as well. I'm curious, James Robinson, when you're looking to draft the Jags back, do you think that they're going to eat into each other so much that neither of them are going to be worth where they're getting drafted right now?
No,
Jake?
Because let's look at the Cleveland Browns. Everybody forgets that that's a thing. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be the Cleveland Browns. I'm not saying they're going to have 2 top 15 running backs. But you have Etienne, who's a lesser version of Kamara, but you have James Robinson, who's a better version of Latavius Murray, where, if you do the Kamara and you back him up with Latavius Murray, you have one running back because you're not starting Latavius Murray. You're just hoping for your value that if you have Kamara get hurt, that you have Murray, or if you just drafted Murray and didn't draft Kamara, you're just hoping Kamara gets hurt. With James Robinson, you're still going to be able to get flex value out of him. So that's where it's better, is that I think ETN, if you look at what Edwards-Helaire did last year with more consistency across the season, as in like a RB 15 to 18 range, that's what you should expect from ETN as being a reasonable expectation. But James Robinson should hold around RB 25 to 30, and that'll give you a usable flex. I'd rather take James Robinson to David Johnson.
I agree.
I
would too. Yeah.
If you had to choose between a handcuff, if you had to choose between ETN and Robinson or Dobbins and Edwards, what would you do?
Dobbins and Edwards, but that's because I have Dobbins inside my RB1 territory.
Oh,
right. Okay,
I like it.
That's what I thought too. Like, because I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that James Robinson is actually gonna be the long-term RB1 there. Like, so I'm kind of worried about if they're gonna cannibalize each other's carries and who's gonna get the touches in the passing game. Like, I just don't know what's gonna happen there, and it kind of scares me away.
So before we move to the last part, the wide receivers, Jake, what do you think? Would you rather have David Montgomery in the 4th or James Robinson in the 5th or 6th in a keeper league?
I mean, that's just, I did that noise because that's reasonable value for both. I would just go with Montgomery, even though I'm off Montgomery this year because people forgot because he missed most of the season. People forgot that how good and how dangerous Tariq Cohen is in the passing game, and that David Montgomery, what we want volume at running back. Kudos on him. That's why David Montgomery was a great buy all season long. I'm sure you guys said the same thing. It was like, buy David Montgomery. 2 reasons. Volume. So that's like a lot in one reason. But then we all saw the schedule coming. We all saw bottom 7 run defenses in 5 consecutive games to finish out the year because they faced the Packers twice. We saw it coming. So that's just not going to repeat this year, but still in the 4th round, just because I know he's the lead versus James Robinson's situation being up in the air, I would lean Montgomery, but 4th round's the price you should pay anyway.
I agree. I think Montgomery's the answer there. Let's move to the last part. Let's talk about the wide receivers. And real quick, Jake, I don't think I've ever remembered, at least in recent memory, trying to figure out a number 1 between 3 guys right now, like at least to this magnitude with Laviska Shenault, and you have DJ Chark, and you have Marvin Jones. They all 3, I think, could be ballers with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. Yep. I'm curious what the order you have them in. You have the Shenault hype train taking it to new levels. He's being like a 5th round pick now. I've seen it. Do you think Marvin Jones does what he does and ends up just showing up at the end of the year as being a top 20 wide receiver yet again? TJ Chark only showed it a little bit. What do you think about these 3? Yeah,
so I go Chark, Jones, Shenault. And I think the Chenault's getting out of hand. I made a joke and even said it's going to be 1st rounder by the time we get to August. I mean, hell, could true. Like, I will say, Shenault has enviable NFL traits, and for his success, I hope I'm wrong. But if I go Chark versus Shenault, people can go back and see what I said. This isn't like I'm not just making this up in hindsight. When Chark was drafted, I had him in a ton of keeper and dynasty leagues because I looked at that roster and I said, of all these wide receivers, who has NFL number 1 wide receiver? Like, there's a difference between being you can be a fantasy number 1 wide receiver, but not be an NFL number 1 wide receiver, because being that number 1 means you can handle double coverage. You can handle their top corners. You can handle all the routes they want to ask you to run and not be limited in that fashion. And I said, Chark has that. He needs to grow into it, but he started to grow into it with Gardner Minshew 2 years ago. And then last year just went out the window with everything going at quarterback. I still say Chark has a leg up. It's a small leg up on Shenault. And if so, that puts Shenault 3 because you bring in Marvin Jones, and Marvin Jones is the most disrespected wide receiver in the NFL for the last 3 or 4 years. Marvin Jones is going to step into the 2. I love Chenault's talent, but I would have loved Shenault a hell of a lot more, and I would have had Chark and Shenault inside my top 20 before they added Marvin Jones. The Marvin Jones situation just kind of killed it for me.
Are you worried that Marvin Jones isn't going to go against the Vikings this year, though?
No, we're going to play into that. Everybody always remembers narratives when they happen. They never remember when they don't happen. But this is to go back to the Carolina Panthers again. I know I just brought them up earlier, but I think those 3 could be very much Carolina Panthers like, is that there's a very small gap between the 3 of them. You probably get the most consistency out of Marvin Jones would be my guess. But you have the higher ceiling with Shenault and Chark, and I don't mind any of them. But the problem with that is Chenault's now going in front of Chark. That's insane to me. So if you're going to put him up that high, I'm not taking him. If he was number 3, I would take him. If he's number 2, I'd probably take him. But just give me whoever's the cheapest at this point.
Yeah, I mean, again, Laviska Shenault seems like the one that's getting inflated the most. So if he goes up 2 or 3 rounds ahead of the other guys, I can completely understand going that route.
Carries out of the backfield like he's going to run for 700 yards. It's Robert Woods. He's probably going to run for 150 and 1 or 2 touchdowns. It's not that big of a thing that he's going to get some carries out of the backfield.
I mean, I don't know. Have you seen those calves? It looks like he could handle a good amount of carries if you gave them to him. So maybe
we're gonna run through we'll talk Mike Davis's thighs and who else do we have to do?
AJ Dillon's thighs.
Yeah.
Well, thick thighs save lives. But yeah. So great wrap up with the AFC South. We are going to move quickly now to our question of the week. Got to throw back some old school video games there. Our question of the week is sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. Triple Play Fantasy is now an official affiliate to Monkey Knife Fight, the fastest growing sports betting site in the United States. Use promo code Triple Play and get up to $50 of your deposit matched when you become a new user and you use that code. And if you're looking to win some cash, these 2 boys on the right side of my screen usually are supposed to be doing weekend shows that they have not been doing. So hopefully at some point they're going to.
David, I don't have a place to live right now. Okay, cut me some slack.
That's fair. That's fair. They will be back with them very shortly, and they usually are about 10 to 15-minute shows of the gaming landscape with their locks to help you win some money. So keep an eye out for those. But our question this week is, which NFL player would be the best detective? So very interesting question. There's probably layers like an onion to this. Jake, what do you think? Who's your guy?
This was actually easy for me.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's Tom Brady, and there's no other discussion here because he's super intelligent. He picks apart everything he sees and knows what everybody's doing before they even know what they're doing. But this is what gives Brady the edge: is no matter how much you can hate him, if you hate him and you hate his success and you hate the team he play, no matter how much, he's so freaking disarming and amazing at everything that he would get you to talk without even realizing. Like before you knew it, you'd just be spilling the beans to Tom Brady because he's just damn cool Tom Brady. As much as you want to hate him, you can't deny. You watched the golf tournament today. I had that on the TV on the side. It's just, he's Tom effing Brady, dude. Like he knows everything, and he could, like, if he doesn't, he's going to get it out of you anyway.
Okay, so Tom Brady's the way to go. I feel like Brad and Eric, you guys are definitely going other places with this, but you have to explain why. So Eric, what about you? What do you got?
Well, I'm going Aaron Rodgers for a lot of the reasons that Jake said Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers is just good at everything. Like, he's a great football player. He's really smart on Jeopardy. He's a great Jeopardy host. He's dated a lot
likable.
Oh, he's likable.
You don't have to be likable to be a detective. Do you think people like detectives? No, they're scared and intimidated. Now
that little extra. Okay.
now he's starting to do some cryptic stuff. You know, now when he's talking, it sounds like he has a little bit of an edge. You know, he has all these wise quotes too. Sometimes the loudest person isn't always the smartest. Like, I just feel like Aaron Rodgers could play some psychology games and get you to open up about your entire life.
Aaron Rodgers gave me like Robert Downey Jr. vibes, and didn't Robert Downey Jr. play Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so I could see.
Robert Downey Jr. is likable. Nobody's going to talk to Aaron Rodgers. He's going to talk to you, and you're like, shut the hell up, dude.
That's true. Brad, who's your pick?
I'm going Jameis Winston, man. He's got those big bulging eyes. He's always looking around. He got those fixed. He's always thinking outside of the box. He's got those weird drills he's doing. He's going to be one step ahead of you. I'm going Jameis, man.
Jameis Winston as a detective. I don't think I'm hiring him.
Quarterbacks.
No, you just distract him with some crabs.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Eating W's.
Oh, that'd be great. All right, well, let's move to the last segment of the night, and that's going to be our game of the week. All right, Doc, you are hosting the game this week. What are we playing?
So we played this a couple weeks ago, and it's guessing players' career high in fantasy. Just for timing reasons, we're only going to do 6, but I do have a 7th as a tiebreaker. So, Jake, how we play is I'm going to give you a player, and you just have to guess their career high. It is PPR scoring. Obviously, doesn't matter for quarterbacks. The closest person gets 1, and if you get it on the money, it's 2.
Okay.
Let's rock.
All right, so we're gonna start David, Brad, Jake, and then rotate. Keep track of your own score. David, we're starting with you. Dak Prescott.
I think it was one of the games last year. I'm gonna say he had. I'm gonna say something that's gonna be completely off, but I'll say he had 44.
Brad,
I'm gonna say 42.
and you guys can use
it's
decimal
a
scoring,
single
by the
game
way.
score. Okay, I was thinking full season. Okay. 37. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna price this right, you guys.
All right, well, it's 39.8. So Jake is the. Actually, no, wait, Brad is the closest.
Because Brad said
but
41.
I'm over. I said 42.
Are we doing Prices Right rules or no?
It's whoever gets closest.
Okay.
He
Price
edged
is
me
Right.
by 0.6. There you go.
All right, so Brad got one. And
The bar for you guys to figure it out.
Brad, we're starting with you for number 2. Ryan Tannehill.
I'm gonna go 36.
Jake.
Now I'm gonna go the opposite way on you. 37.
Oh wow.
All right, and David.
I'm gonna go the opposite way on you. Going the opposite. I'm gonna go 35.
35. Yeah, you sandwiched. You're out of this.
All right, well, that's 2 for Jake because his career high is 37
No,
on
it's
the
one for me.
money.
Oh,
No, because
is it?
You got the exact
That's-
one. It's
that's not
37. 37.
Oh,
no
so I got
decimals.
2?
Right, 37.
Ah. Sorry.
All right.
Brad.
So Jake has a 2-1 lead over Brad.
no, I think
We're
it's
starting
1-1.
with you,
isn't it?
Jake. Tevin.
Oh, I got it on the money.
No, Jake
Oh, that's
got
right.
Ryan Tannehill on the money.
Gotcha.
All right, Jake. Your guy is Tevin Coleman, and it's PPR scoring.
Last year?
I think
Just
just
his
in
career
general,
high.
Career high.
Oh, career high. I was gonna say last year. Like, what was last year? Like 4? Career high. I'm gonna say 24.5.
David.
I'm gonna say 29.
I'm gonna say
Brad.
32.
Brad's closest. It's 37.8. The year before that, he had a 4-touchdown game with the 49ers.
Oh, I do
remember
remember that game. Now you say that. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so Brad and Jake each got 2. The next one, and Dave, we're going back to you. It's his former
Dave,
it's his
pick it up, man.
former teammate out the backfield. It's Devonta Freeman.
Oh god, he had some good
Ooh.
Falcons days. I
There's
feel
a
like
lot
there
of weeks
had to
they
be.
finished together inside the top 10.
Yeah.
When I heard his name, 49 just struck me. Like I don't want to turn it away.
49.
That's absurd.
49.
I don't know if anybody's
Okay,
ever had 49.
Brad.
I'm gonna go 34.
All right, and Jake.
35.5. I'll give you a half of
Ah,
gap.
All right, well, Brad's the closest. It's 33.7.
Oh damn, I was way off.
Tevin Coleman has had a high
Oh.
career high. Yeah. David, you're not good at this game.
No, I'm horrible.
We got
I don't
two
know
left.
the Twitter followers or
two le-
something.
we got 2 left here. Brad's got a 3-2 lead over Jake, and David's no way is winning this.
I can if I get both on the
So-
money. I guess I win.
That's true.
All right.
Not
Well,
out
that's
yet.
not going to happen. But Brad, we're starting with you. Jordy Nelson.
oh wow. I'm gonna go 37.
Jake.
41.3.
I literally had 41 on my brain, so now I have
They
to
go
straight up.
41. So now you got the under on me.
That's true. All right, I'll go 41. I'll stick with my gut.
All right. Well, David, it's smart you did that. It's 39.1. So you beat
I
out
should've
Brad by
beat you.
0.2 on that.
Yeah.
So going into the
I'm
last
on the
one.
board.
It's 3 for Brad, 2 for Jake, 1 for David. And we're starting with Jake. Dwayne Allen.
The tight end, Dwayne Allen,
Yeah.
21.2.
David.
26.
That name
Brad.
is like barely familiar to me. I'm gonna go 24.
Dwayne Allen had a 29.2 fantasy game.
Oh my god.
So David is closest with 26, but Brad is our winner.
Oh man, Brad,
It's about time,
wire to
man.
wire. Nice job. You don't win too many games, Brad. So
I don't. I needed this one.
That was great. But oh yeah, we always throw some good throwback names on this show. But on that note, Jake, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It was a ton of fun for us to be able to talk the AFC South with you.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. Don't forget Kobe Fleener back then too, as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That was going to be for next time.
He's going to be the amazing teammate from college. That everything was supposed to happen with that.
Man.
Oh man, I love just reminiscing on those guys.
Let me just say, I just wanted Dwayne Allen to be a thing so bad that he just never was.
But yeah, man, Jake, really appreciate you, man. If you want to go ahead and plug whatever you got going on, anything you're writing, any video work, anything that you're doing, please go ahead.
Yeah, well, you mentioned a lot of it at the beginning when you were saying man instead of boy. But yeah, over at The Athletic, our draft kit drops next week. All my projections this year, you're going to be able to change them if you don't like them, and it's going to re-rank for you. So look for that. And then, yeah, the podcast of The Athletic. I'm going to be doing video with Bets TV this year. So a lot. I tweet it all out anyway. That's just save people the trouble.
It's a good follow at the All In Kid. Make sure you check him out. Does a lot of great work. Make sure you guys stick with us next week. We're going to be covering the AFC West with Jacob Sanderson of Roto World. So make sure you stay with us for that. Until then, everybody be safe out there. Go draft the best ball. And we're going to make like a bread truck and haul these buns. Catch you guys